Section 0 of The Day of Sir John Macdonald. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Marcel Wheeler. The Day of Sir John Macdonald, a Chronicle of the First Prime Minister of the Dominion, by Sir Joseph Pope. Prefatory Note. Within a short time will be celebrated the centenary of the birth of the great statesman who, half a century ago, laid the foundations and, for almost 20 years, guided the destinies of the Dominion of Canada. Nearly a like period has elapsed since the author's Memoirs of Sir John Macdonald was published. That work, appearing as it did little more than 3 years after his death, was necessarily subject to many limitations and restrictions. As a connected story, it did not profess to come down later than the year 1873, nor has the time yet arrived for its continuation and completion on the same lines. That task is probably reserved for other and freer hands than mine. At the same time, it seems desirable that, as Sir John Macdonald's centenary approaches, there should be available, in convenient form, a short resume of the salient features of his career, which, without going deeply and at length into all the public questions of his time, should present a familiar account of the man and his work as a whole, as well as, in a lesser degree, of those with whom he was intimately associated. It is with such object that this book has been written. Joseph Pope, Ottawa, 1914. End of Section 0. Section 1 of The Day of Sir John Macdonald. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Marcel Wheeler. The Day of Sir John Macdonald, a Chronicle of the First Prime Minister of the Dominion, by Sir Joseph Pope. Youth, Part 1. Chapter 1. Youth. John Alexander Macdonald, second son of Hugh Macdonald and Helen Shaw, was born in Glasgow on January 11, 1815. His father, originally from Sutherlandshire, removed in early life to Glasgow, where he formed a partnership with one MacPhail, and embarked in business as a cotton manufacturer. Subsequently, he engaged in the manufacture of bandanas, and the style of the firm became H. Macdonald & Co. The venture did not prove successful, and Macdonald resolved to try his fortunes in the New World. Accordingly, in the year 1820, he embarked for Canada in the good ship Earl of Buckinghamshire, and after a voyage long and irksome even for those days, landed at Quebec and journeyed overland to Kingston, then and for some years after the most considerable town in Upper Canada, boasting a population, exclusive of the military, of about 2,500 souls. At that time, the whole population of what is now the province of Ontario did not exceed 120,000, clustered for the most part in settlements along the Bay of Quinte, Lake Ontario proper, and the vicinity of the Niagara and Detroit rivers. The interior of the province was covered with the primeval forest, which disappeared slowly and only by dint of painful and unceasing toil. The early accounts of Kingston bear eloquent testimony to its primitive character. In 1815, according to a correspondent of the Kingston Gazette, the town possessed no footways worthy of the name, in consequence of which lack it was, during rainy weather, scarcely possible to move about without being in mud to the ankles. No provision existed for lighting the streets in the dark of the moon. A fire engine was badly needed, and also the enforcement of a regulation prohibiting the piling of wood in public thoroughfares. Communication with the outside world in those early days was slow, toilsome, and sometimes dangerous. The roads were, for the most part, Indian paths, somewhat improved in places, but utterly unsuited, particularly in spring and autumn, for the passage of heavily laden vehicles. In 1817, a weekly stage began running from Kingston to York, Toronto, with a fare of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?